Welcome to another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today we have Dr. Neil Pai coming in from Charlotte, North Carolina. Luke and I are coming in from Grand Junction, Colorado. This is episode 264, and we are so excited to have Dr. Neil on. We were just lighting this microphone up before this interview got started, talking about all types of awesome stuff, all the way from crypto to regenerative care to what isn't a dirty word.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And, today I'm really excited because we've been working with each other for a little bit now, and I've been getting to know your product line, and I've been getting to know you better as the practitioner and as the true guy. And I think that there's a lot to be said about the brand name. It transitions and transcends a feeling and a vibe to people, and True Weight Solutions is something that I know that you created as an anti-inflammatory lifestyle plan for people, which I really appreciate too. It's not just like, hey, we're going to roll out a weight loss strategy for people. No, we're going to figure out how to get the body to heal naturally. So I'm really excited to share that part of your story today as well. But before we get into that, would you mind sharing with us your chiropractic story and what got you into chiropractic? And then we'll talk a little bit about what makes you unique.
Yeah. I have a pretty similar story. I was went to undergrad for biochemistry. I was always interested in the body. Didn't care for blood or any of that other stuff, but went through it. Honestly, chiropractic was the furthest thing from my mind. I was never exposed to it. Came from a heavily medical family, didn't believe in it at the time. Went through college, got a job in a pharmaceutical company in a lab, and I was in my younger 20s, and I remember waking up every day saying, there's no way I can do this for the next 40 years and retire. There's got to be more to life than that. And, I just didn't feel fulfilled. So at the time, my mother was going through a lot of back issues. She had a herniated disc. Had sciatic issues, did all the usual things, right? Therapies, injections, all sorts of stuff. And then they were just pumping her full of steroids. And so it would temporarily help, and then it would just come right back and even get worse. I mean, usual stuff we all hear. So then one day my mom's orthopedist was like, well, we'll just have to go in there and do a fusion. We'll have to do a disc surgery and take it out and fuse your lumbar vertebra. She said, hell no, you're not touching me unless I'm in a wheelchair and I have no choice. And thank God for that. So a friend of my mother's at work said, hey, I've got a guy. And everyone's got a guy, right? Guy or gal. And that's he or she at this point,
If you're lucky.
Right. So she's like, you got to go see my guy. So she said, well, I got nothing to lose, so I will go see him. And very thankfully, just a very wonderful chiropractor, extremely intelligent. Just it was great. About 6 to 8 weeks of therapies and adjustments, and she was basically as good as new, if you believe it or not. And she calls me up one morning, and I'm in Charlotte. My folks are in Raleigh. I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. And my mom calls me, and I won't tell you what she calls me. It's a childhood nickname, but she calls me, and she still calls me this. I'm 50 years old. She calls me this, which I'm thankful. But she called me up, and she goes, Neil, I found your calling. She goes, I think you would be great for this. And so my dad's an engineer, still skeptical at this point. And he takes half a day off. I take a day off work. I run up to Raleigh to meet with this guy, and he spent about an hour and a half with my father and me with a model of his spine. He explained biomechanically everything he did and why it worked. And at that time, I was like, wow, is he spending a lot of time with us? And then I realized that, yeah, we get 2.5 hour lunches. So now I realize it. But just an amazing guy. And at that point, he said, if you'd like, I can get you an interview. He went to LACC at his alma mater was out in Whittier, California. And he said, I can get you on the phone to do an interview with the dean there. And I ended up going to Life University because my fiance at the time wanted me to stay on the East Coast. But after that whole experience, I called my fiance and I said, I'm sorry, honey, we're going to be broke for another few years. I'm going back to school. So I quit my job and headed out to Life University. And the rest is history. I'm thankful and grateful that I got put on that path and had some great mentors along the way.
So what you're saying is you became a chiropractor so you could get 2.5 hour lunch breaks.
Don't tell anybody. Sure.
I knew it. It wasn't the biomechanics or the
It's a nice.
chemistry.
It was a nice perk, and I realized that. So you work hard and you play hard.
So let's travel into what you're doing today. I know that you have a young and thriving system that you've created called True Weight Solutions.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. I think that a lot of people are going to be really curious to know that it really focuses on anti-inflammatory lifestyle, and it's pretty effective for people to jump into and to get some results.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I've been practicing about 21 years now, and in that time, I've practiced in all sorts of different ways. And the one common thread that every patient that came into our office had, and quite frankly, every patient everywhere, to every doctor, the common problem was health toxicity, okay, and inflammation, chronic inflammation. And not a lot of offices address that part. You know, we as healthcare practitioners, third largest in the country, and hopefully soon one of the largest, but we have a lot of tools at our disposal. And so what I knew was I was getting results, I was getting good outcomes, but they weren't sustainable. And the factor was, okay, what's happening after that patient leaves my office? Are they doing anything to change their own health from the inside out? Right? Like your shirt says, Jim, above, down, inside out. So that's how health truly is created, as a matter of fact. But so what I started on this just originally just something to actually bring people's weight down. Okay. They were coming with all sorts of conditions, back pain, knee pain, you name it, internal health issues. I won't name specific conditions, but we all know a lot of the common health issues out there. And I thought, okay, you're not doing yourself any favors. Let's get you down 20, 40, 50 pounds. Okay. And at that time I started, it was about weight loss. Okay. I then soon realized it wasn't about weight. It was about what was causing that weight. And that was the chronic inflammation. It was the diet. It was the liver toxicity. And so then I started looking for something that would easily be implemented in my practice. It was busy practice, and I didn't want to add another thing to my plate. So I said, how can we automate this and get them into a lifestyle change and do it very easily? And so then I started trying all these different programs out. Okay, the usual suspects. I either got feedback that, hey, this is too rough for me to do. I can't do it. And I would get a patient to quit on me. Okay. Or I would say, hey, there's too many supplements to take, too many pills. And that's the reason I'm seeing you anyway. I don't like pills. Point taken. So then I started trying to figure out the best of all the different ways the body detoxes and even takes weight off in a simple way. And that's where we are today with True Weight Solutions. We created a 60-day anti-inflammatory program. And the reason I call it that is because we put all our patients on it. Doesn't matter what case they are, because we know good long-term outcome is dependent on the shape of their health on the inside. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So weight was not even, it was just a number to me at that point. I was like, nope, let's get you on this. We saw people that only needed to lose 10 pounds, 5 pounds. Here you go. We saw people need to lose 100. There you go. And then what would happen was we realized that the patients, it was a unique, and we'll probably get to this later on as far as new practitioners, but you want to do something that encompasses their entire health. At least I did. And I feel good about that. And so what I did was get these patients on. They were saying that no one else was addressing this in the way that we were. So it was unique. So I felt good about that. And it was simple. It was teaching these people how to live a lifestyle for the rest of their life so that they can take what they did in the office and carry it. So that when someone truly comes to me to maintain their health, I know that they're doing what they can at home, and then I'll do what I can in the office. And I love it. I love it. I would give seminars, and then I would talk about this as an add-on, and patients would come up to me, hey, I've been to so-and-so seminar, I've been to that doctor, I've been to this doctor. No one's ever talked to us about this. And I knew then, I was like, and quite honestly, I only created this for my own office. And my partner happened to be a poker buddy of mine and a neighbor. He used to work for, he was a CEO for another weight loss company. And he said, you need to get this out there. I said, well, I don't know how to do that. And he said, well, I do. Let's do it. So then we partnered a couple of years ago on this. And you've seen the program, Jim. You let me know your thoughts on it, but we've been thrilled with it. We've added on ever since, and we continually try to make it better and better, but it's a fantastic program. So,
well, without getting too far ahead of myself, it's the principle of marketing. To me, it's the ELF principle. It's easy, it's actually lucrative, and it's fun. Because when you look good, you feel good, you perform good. And it's a very linear system. And when you feel good, you perform better. And I think that that's a part where people don't really understand, like inflammation, weight loss. The back end of all of that is performance and self-esteem and confidence and strength and less pain on knees and less pain on hips and less pain on ankles and less pain in the back and less pain in the neck. And people perform better.
well, let me ask you this: how happy would your patient or client be if you got them on this program? They were doing well in addition to what they were doing in the office. How many people do you think they would talk to about this?
Well,
They
I think it's a game changer. I think it gets people to the point where they're actually appreciating the experience. It's an experience of
and
health.
it was a game changer for me. I mean, regenerative, decompression, chiropractic, laser. It didn't matter what style of practice, neuropathy, all of those. Every one of them, they were improving their outcome. Just simply getting on an anti-inflammatory program, such as this one. So it's a no-brainer to me. It's a no-brainer. I think it's such a great add-on.
So what would be some advice that you'd give to another doctor who's trying to convert more people to care?
The art of communication. The number one piece of advice I'd give a new grad or even a struggling older chiropractor: learn how to communicate your message. Learn what that message is and learn how to communicate that. We spend too much time trying to convince patients of what our philosophies are, and they don't care. They come to see you because, first of all, they don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. So that's number one. Number two, what's wrong? Can you help me? How long is it going to take and how much is it going to cost? Learn how to answer those questions. Be transparent, be authentic, and that all requires learning how to communicate. And I think that art is lost in a lot of the newer graduates. And pardon me, some of you might be stellar at it and talented. I think that we should all learn how to go communicate.
Well, let me ask you, like, resources. Who did you learn from? I mean, who did you learn how to tell people that?
Great question. You've got to get uncomfortable. So early on, so I graduated in 2000, started my practice in 03. We didn't Obviously, a lot of kudos to Facebook and social media and different media platforms. We didn't have those, and I don't want to sound cliche and say back in my day. I swore to myself I'd never act that way or act that old, but back in my day, when we started to practice, we had to shake hands and kiss babies, and I talked to whoever would listen. And I would join groups, BNI, Toastmasters. I would go give talks at the local rec community center.
You're hungry.
Sometimes there would only be one person sitting in the chairs, and there were 50 chairs. At 7 p.m., it was advertised one person. I would talk to that person as if 50 were sitting there.
That's why you became good.
And I just learned and learned. And to this day, when I get up and speak, I still get a little nod. And that just means you care. That means you care. It's not that, at this point, though, I don't throw up. So I've gotten to that point. But that number one, learn to do that. Get uncomfortable. Number two, find your passion. When you talk about your passion with authenticity and from your heart, it's easy then, because then you can communicate your message. Scripting is important to learn a framework, but to be authentic is the most important. Then you're not selling. Now you're believing. And now that patient sees that belief. And all it is them mirroring your confidence and your belief. If you don't convert that patient, then a connection was lost somewhere. It was lost somewhere.
And that's how you convert.
Well, at that point, they've already decided whether they're going to trust you and believe in you or not. And it starts with the very beginning. It starts with the phone call. It starts with the message of advertising. It starts with how your lobby looks, your reception area. It starts with the staff.
The greeting. Yep.
They may have lost the sale or the close before they even see the doctor, and now the doctor has to work 20 times as hard. They may not even know that the rest of it is blowing their conversion, and that's going to beat somebody up. That's going to beat us up because we're going to be down on our message.
When I worked at an office, one of the docs would not tell their significant other how many new patients were on the books or how many they converted at the end of the week. Just because conversion's tough. And I know that there's a lot of docs out there that are struggling, and that truth, it can become a burden if it doesn't go well. So learning to communicate is a primary skill set.
It's a message. It's a message, but it's not a dogma. Meaning we're not there to convert people into chiropractic. We're there to convert them as a patient. The conversion into belief into chiropractic comes later.
Amen.
You have to get them on your table, and you have to get your hands on them first. Then guess what? They're open to that message later. Now you're their person.
Now you're talking to everybody that needs to hear this message.
now people are coming up to you and they go, well, my doctor wants me to do this, but I trust you. I want to hear what you think. Then you've got it, right? Now you've built a lifetime patient. We don't need to. Philosophy is more for us. It's for us to keep us grounded, to keep us spiritually fulfilled, and to know our purpose and our mission in life. And I remember an early mentor of mine, God rest his soul, he told me, he goes, Niels, there are souls up there looking down, waiting for you to quit so they can take your place. That's how lucky we get to be. That's how lucky we are.
That's powerful.
So what are some things that you're doing for you and your family's health?
During this time, I personally, vitamin D, both my boys, myself, my wife, zinc, vitamin C. Obviously, we get adjusted, take care of ourselves that way. Lots of water, lots of greens, a lot of salads. it's interesting because we don't know what parameters or what health. And honestly, the U.S. has the worst COVID death rate per capita worldwide. And I tried to figure that out, U.S. and Canada, actually. And the problem is that the West has the most health issues. Why? Because we are chronically inflamed. The food supply, just horrible. We've got a vitamin D shortage like there's no tomorrow in the U.S. And I'm pretty certain Canada follows. And I looked at it, I was like, why is the greatest country on the planet, the richest country on the planet, have the poorest health on the planet? Why are we consuming the most drugs? Why are we having a chronic vitamin D deficiency here, which is like essential to immune health? And that's one of the reasons, guys, is why I started going, okay, what do we do to help with this besides adjust? Right? We can do the adjustments, we can do the therapies, but what else are we going to do?
Well, I was even told this, Neil, that the people that are needing care, they're a whole different level of toxicity from a patient from the 80s or the 90s. Their level of inflammation, because of the things you're talking about, like the diets, it's a whole different ball game. Like you're dealing with a whole different species of person.
It's different. And even children now. I mean, I think 1 in 3 is obese, morbidly obese, a child. So they're already like toxic in their single digits.
I was just talking to my massage therapist, Neil, and I was like, look, I'm from the generation with phones on the wall with a plug attached to them that my mom had to yell, James Thomas, time to come home, when the freaking street light came on.
That's
like, I'm from a generation that threw rocks at each other for fun and shot BB guns at each other for fun.
How much vitamin D did we get? Tons of vitamin D, right? But
I mean, we fist fought each other. Like, there was like a whole different generation. And now kids are like, you're talking about fat, like children.
But Luke was asking, that's what we do. And I caught COVID in December, and then my younger son got it, and I was done with it in a couple of days. The quarantine was the worst. I was a guest in my own house in the guest room, and so my wife would bring a tray to the hallway, knock on the door, and leave. And I said, "Oh, this feels like the Ritz," and so that gave me a lot of time to reflect and soul search and do all those things. But and my son, a day, he had a headache and I think a sniffly nose for a day, and he breezed right through it. My older son never got it. My wife never got it in the same household. So I think the number one way we can help is keep ourselves healthy. Keep ourselves healthy, lower the inflammation. We're chronically dehydrated in this country anyway, in spite of COVID. And I think, because you hear stories of 90-somethings going through and being put on a ventilator, and they walk away. Thank God, they walk away. And then you hear 20-somethings dying. And so I just, number one defense is keep your immune system sharp and healthy.
I think I've heard it said, it's not the seed, it's the soil.
100%. 100%. I couldn't say it any better than that. Yeah. Inside out, right? Soil.
It's not the seed, it's the soil.
That plant, fruit, whatever it is only going to be as good as the nutrients it got from the soil. So our cells are only as good as the nutrition or the nutrients that it gets from the inside. So, yeah, perfect.
What are some of your favorite ways to stay connected to your community?
Great question. Number one, and I think most of us became chiropractors because we love people. We love people and we love serving. And I think not only staying in touch through your patients, but and it's hard. It's been hard over the last year, but there are ways to do things. Volunteer, for group organizations. I take my boys to something called the Giving Basket, and we feed the hungry. I joked around once and I said, "Yeah, I'm out feeding the hungry," and it was really we're going to a restaurant to eat, but that was a joke anyway. But stay connected that way. There are also meetings, right? There's organizations. I'm not going to get religious, but if you're a part of a church or a spiritual organization or whatever group you belong to, stay connected there. It was really easy this past year for all of us to withdraw, go into a cave and not get on the phone, not get on Zoom or get into a camera, and then we learned how to put a nice shirt on and then sit there in our boxers and have meetings. But be social that way, stay connected, talk to patients, talk to other people outside, and just be a resource, and just for no other reason at all, just be nice. And I think that resonates. I think that people remember you. And somebody told me that people won't care what kind of car you drove, they won't care what kind of house you lived in. What they'll always remember is how you made them feel. Always. So.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And my mom always told me it doesn't cost you a nickel to be nice to somebody.
Smart woman.
Old wisdom,
and there's even, if you just want to get into research, there's studies, and I think Chopra and Dyer and all those guys, there were studies that said that when you do something kind for someone, it releases endorphins in the doer as well as the receiver. Guess what they found? It released twice as many endorphins as an observer in the observer.
Huh.
So they
witness
research, and it was anonymous viewers, anonymous observers, and they did brain scans on this, and they found that their brains lit up when they watched it. So
that's fascinating. To be a witness of kindness.
Yeah. And then remember, you're also serving by doing good and allowing others to see that. Lead by example.
And I think that's why, in my opinion, as I was working in chiropractic profession, people that probably watched Luke and I over the past couple of years know that I worked in an office for 6 years, and I loved open bay adjusting as well, because that's a way for people to actually see the miracles. And I know we're going to get to that question, and I know we got about 5 minutes left of our interview with you today, but let's go on a quick speed round. We have 3 questions left for you.
Let's do it.
I'll ask the first, Luke will ask the second, and I'll ask the third, and then we'll round up. We'll get some assets from you to where people can find out more about you.
Sure.
Where's the profession headed? How do you see the profession going in the next 5 to 10 years, 20 years? What's future pace people?
We're the leaders. We are the leaders. I see it in 20 years. I see each generation getting, and I hope that it's not lost. I want people to understand we're in a service profession, and we are the greatest healthcare profession on the planet. And I tell people every day, I love my scope. I love what my degree is, because we can encompass just about anything, except for what? Medicine. Well, okay, there are people that do that.
We're failing miserably at that.
Yeah, and we need to make sure we understand, and we have a confidence and a belief in the fact that in whatever way you choose to help a patient, I don't judge. Straight, mixed, whatever. You use your knowledge and your ability and your skills to help each person that sits in front of you. And
because even the most straight let them catch something that's entrenched in them and it ain't going away. You're going to go try anything under the sun to get back to health.
We need help. You know,
Yes.
we need level-headedness. We don't need dogma. You know, we don't need an MD that says, hey, cut and medicate all the time. We need those guys to be open to holistic means, right? Nutrition and chiropractic and acupuncture. So you get a dogmatic MD, that person will kill somebody. Now, I feel that way about a chiropractor. If you get a dogmatic chiropractor that refuses to look at other options for their patient, they're being dogmatic, right? They're not being patient-centered. It's not about us. It's not about that particular healthcare provider. It's about the patient. Let's do what that patient needs. That's how I feel.
Well, chiropractic saves money and saves lives. And that's
Yeah.
the part that really makes sense.
That's a proven fact. I mean, that's proven. They've looked at bills, and definitely chiropractic care was definitely a better option financially, even for the insurance companies. It's just there's too much politics.
Well, that's what they always say, Neil, is you either pay for health now or sickness later.
But I was telling you earlier, we know this works. This is the greatest profession on the planet. So that's where I see it in 20 years. I see it even just getting better and better if we just don't forget that.
Or let it be taken.
Well, yeah. And that's just political groups, right? Associations and PAC groups in DC. So big pharma, pretty big. That's another thing. We don't have a multi-billion-dollar industry backing us up when we graduate. So we have to learn these methods and tools to attract. We have to know how to communicate. We have to know how to network. We have to.
Chiropractors are the ultimate hunters and farmers. Like, you guys have to learn how to farm and you have to learn how to hunt.
And we have to do it all.
Yes.
There's no partition of this. We have to be that go-to beacon in our area. We have to.
So tell us, who have been some of your heroes and inspirations?
Well, I think if I could spend some time with one, I would. And you know, I grew up with stories of him, but it would be Gandhi for me. I would like to talk with him for an hour. I would just like to know how he flipped that switch for himself, and then he led that civil disobedience movement, which then Martin Luther King adopted, and Mother Teresa, and just the selflessness and the service for something way, way, way bigger than themselves. You know, it's pretty interesting, pretty phenomenal. You know, like the Palmers, for example, they'll be spoken about throughout history. But I mean, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, timeless. They'll be spoken of forever. They changed the world. They changed humanity. So yeah, Gandhi would be mine. Always has been.
It sounds like there's a lot of miracle with what these cultural icons have delivered, whether it's miracles or movements. Let's talk more on like a day-to-day scale with you at like the private practice. Tell us a miracle story that you've seen over the past 21 years, something that really stands out that people can learn from.
Well, I can tell you, I was at a seminar, or it was a conference, and there was one of the docs there. His wife gave birth in a hotel room, and the baby was born like stillborn or blue, wasn't breathing, wasn't moving, any of that. He then jumped down, checked the atlas, and then shifted. The atlas had been shifted, and he put it back in, and within seconds, color came back, crying, breathing. It was just, yeah, short of a miracle. And then I shudder to think how many babies were born like that didn't get that benefit, that didn't get checked.
Yeah, I've always said that the best care in the world is from womb to tomb, cradle to grave.
I like that. Womb to tomb, exactly. Yeah, I love it. I've got good friends that do prenatal care, and I love all of it. But
Well,
yeah, that's my story. Pretty cool. Sorry, Luke. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. That's a great story. And I was just going to say, as we start to wrap this interview up, where can people go if they want to learn more about True Weight Solutions, or if they want to order it, or where can people go?
Yeah, so this is, I kind of just touched on it. It's 3 sublingual formulas. We have an app and we have a dashboard. You can go to trueweightsolutions.com and look that up. It'll have a video on there, an explainer. They're welcome to call us directly. They can fill out a contact us form. And myself or my partner, Adam, the CEO, he'll gladly call and hop on a call and figure out what they need or what they're looking for and educate them on this. But Jim's been doing this, and you can kind of share how easy it's been or difficult, whatever your experience has been.
Yeah, as a company that I knew little about 2 months ago, to a company now that I've been a part of the True Weight Solution product brand awareness and now actually using it. It's easy to fit into even the busiest person's life. Number one, I've traveled a lot and I've taken it while traveling. I know a lot of people have like this aversion from any type of a plan if they're not like anchored to like their home base, but I've been all over the place. I've hiked 100 miles last month. I've been to the gym 12 times, done yoga about 15 times.
Pictures. Yeah.
I've lived super active. But what I think that has happened is being on the plan is it makes me more thoughtful of how I feed myself. Yeah. It makes me more thoughtful of the energy that I have and how I'm going to like rest. And like, I've learned also that like the rest and digest is just as important as the Chiro hustle. And the ability to lay back and repair is just as important as the busy lifestyle. Yeah. And I've loved the whole experience working with you guys and understanding more about the product line. And yeah, I'm halfway through my 60 days, so I'm really excited to see how the rest of it will go.
Yeah, but you're getting shredded.
Oh, dude, like I was just a funny story to wrap it up. I was at the gym yesterday and I do a selfie for the 75 hard. And this guy was like, hey, he's talking to his friend. Hey, I should jump in and do a photo bomb. I'm like, yeah, you should. It'd be fun. And he's like, no, man, you're too big. And like, I think that's a part of it is like, we get a chance to transform our body into a way that we don't even know how awesome we're becoming. And if you're dedicated and consistent and driven, this is a perfect product line for you to get healthy with, not to get away from anything. Like
no. And that's the whole thing. We wanted it to be sustainable. Mm-hmm. We don't want you just dropping weight. Anybody can do that. Anybody can lose. You go on a fast lemonade master cleanse diet for 2 weeks and you'll drop 20 pounds like that. But that mainly water. And what happens is I've done everything. I've done it all. You name it. I've done keto. I've done Atkins back in the day. And I've done, all sorts of paleo, all of it. And it's all stuff that's just hard to sustain.
But what happens, Neil, is the psychology and the physiology don't sync together with the drastic change. And Mother Nature doesn't make mistakes. Right. Mother Nature doesn't want us to have too much of anything too fast.
Right.
Because it's not sustainable. And Mother Nature doesn't cheat us with our calories unless we put too much of them into our body. And then Mother Nature's like, these aren't coming out until you actually work them
Well,
up.
I mean, I've had patients, and I'm sure we all have, gastric bypass. They cut their stomach completely out. Do those people gain weight? You bet they do. So you can't cheat. Your body is, and we all know this, it's inherently, innately intelligent. In spite of us, in spite of our actions, your body's going to do what your body's going to do.
Well, Dr. Neil, thank you for being our guest today.
I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you for sharing the wisdom. Thank you for sharing your story. The world is a much richer place by knowing what you shared today. And I believe that as people learn more about True Weight Solutions, they'll look at this as their solution.
Yeah.
And we want you to have an amazing rest of your day. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
I'm grateful. I hope I helped someone. So,
oh, yeah. You helped us.
Thanks, Dr. Neil.
Thanks, Luke. It's good talking to you. Take
Talk
care, guys.
soon.